I went to Yale, but not for college. I was invited to compete in a 5-day entrepreneur competition where 200 of us had to build and pitch a business from scratch. And what happened there taught me a mindset shift that I've used for the past 8 years to build 6, 7, and 8 figure businesses. We didn't have the best idea, but we still won. And after you hear this story, you'll understand why the best idea doesn't always win and what actually does. So let's set the scene. I was 17 years old and I was invited to a 5-day entrepreneur competition where 200 other people were brought out to Yale University where we had to come up with a business idea, pitch the business idea in a Shark Tank style. So these were millionaire investors that would sit there and grade us at 17 years old. So 200 kids sat there and we were randomly assigned to teams of 5. So a total of 40 teams that were competing in this competition. And the goal? Build a money-making business in 5 days. So it couldn't be a nonprofit. It had to make money and be able to be monetized. So when I first got there, I was assigned to a dorm room with one other person. And the excitement was building, but the pressure was also building because none of us knew exactly why we were invited here. They didn't tell us what we were going to be competing in. All they said was to bring a pen and a paper, and obviously the clothes for the 5-day experience. So we get in there, and the first day, they all sit us down in the lecture hall at Yale. And they're presenting and telling us what we're actually doing. And then they immediately assign us to random teams. Now, as a 17-year-old, this was a very intense experience. But the lessons I learned from this experience, I still have taken to this day that has helped me build 7 and 8-figure businesses. And the same mindset is what you can utilize in order to do the same. So once we were assigned to the teams, the challenge was very simple. Day 1 is brainstorm your business idea, but we were under immense stress. We had no idea what we were getting into, but we had to sit down with a team of 5 people that we've never met before and all agree upon a business idea that we wanted to build with. Then day 2, we were sent to public locations. So ours was a mall and we had to cold canvas strangers. We had to walk up to strangers and pitch them a business idea that we created yesterday with a team of absolute strangers. And it was absolutely nerve-wracking. I still remember the first person I came up to. My palms were sweaty. My voice was a little bit shaky. I had no clue what I was doing. I had never done this before. But then day 3, we had to revise based on all the brutal feedback. And believe me, we got a lot of brutal feedback, especially on version 1 of our idea. But then day 4, we had to compete against all 40 other teams in a battle where only 10 people advanced, 10 teams advanced. So we sat with all the investors and they would bring us up one by one where we had to present it. So we had to come up with slides. We had to explain the story. We had to pitch them the idea, and they would grade us based on our results. And after that, only 10 teams advanced. But day 5 is where we would pitch it in front of everyone. So we were brought to the Yale lecture hall and we had to present our product to everyone in the room, including the investors. So you can imagine the stress level was going up. The emotions were feeling it. Everyone was a little bit nervous, but we ended up advancing. So we were super excited and we are proud of the work that we had, but now was the real battle. But the key note that I want to add is we didn't have the most innovative idea. And honestly, we knew that. The truth, most of the other teams had way better ideas than we did. But that's not why we won. And if you continue watching, you'll understand exactly how we were able to pull out a win against 40 other entrepreneurs that had way better ideas than we did. So then comes the final presentation. We were all brought into this room where 200 of my age people were sitting in the stage. And right in the front row was the 5 investors that were grading us. And each team had to go. And we were right in the middle. We were about number 5, maybe 6 that was presenting out of 10 teams. And everyone was, excited. They were cheering. But at the end of the day, the investors had the final say. And the judges, they weren't just people pulled off the street. They were multi-million-dollar founders of a wide variety of different businesses. And it was electric. We set up our entire presentation. We got it ready. We brainstormed with the team. We talked about who was presenting which slides and how we were going to do it. And the brainstorming that was had with complete strangers was absolutely exciting. And it was so much fun to do. But at the end of the day, it wasn't about what we said. It was how we said it. We sold the story, not the solution and the product. And most people only highlighted the idea or the product, but we decided to sell the story. And if you're pitching clients or investors or even just content online, your delivery is always more important than the actual idea. And that is what most people don't understand. So now that you've made it this far, you're ready to hear the lesson. And this lesson absolutely changed the way I view business forever. I always used to think that the best idea would always win. The product would sell itself. But in reality, it's the exact opposite. You could have a bad idea for a product, but the story will always win. So this is the lesson. The best idea doesn't win. The most believable idea wins. In business, emotion and logic beats brilliance every single time. Because like I said, we didn't have the best idea, but we presented it in a way that got people to believe that we had the best idea. And at the end of the day, the investors believed it. The students believed it. Everyone started focusing on the story and the emotion that we were selling, not the actual idea. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to sell something cheap. You don't want to scam people. You want to have a really good product and a really good idea, but focus on the story and the messaging behind that product. So if you think your product is going to sell itself, it won't. If you want to scale your agency or close high ticket clients or grow your channel, learn to sell a story. Learn to focus on what you're actually saying and how you're saying it and how you're articulating your words, and not as much on the actual product. Use emotion, structure, certainty, and confidence. And the mini framework that I apply to every single business meeting, investor deck, client call, demo sales presentation that I still use today is there's 3 key selling ideas. Emotion. Make them feel something. If you give an entire presentation and they don't feel anything, then you messed up. Second is clarity. Make it simple enough to repeat. Because at the end of the day, especially in some industries like technology or stuff that most people don't understand, if you can't articulate and have clarity where they understand exactly what you're doing, you have them lost. So make them feel something, give them clarity. And the other one is confidence. Deliver your product as if it already works. And most of the time, if you've ran a business, you already have client testimonies. So deliver your product with confidence. Confidence, clarity, and emotion. That is the lesson that I learned and still take away to this day that has grown me to 7 and 8 figure businesses. And we walked off the stage. I didn't think we won because we didn't have the best idea. We had 10 other people competing that their ideas were pretty good. But then we go down and sit and they line us all up and they start presenting. So they say number 3 is this team, number 2 is this team, and number 1, and they say our team. And we were so excited. And that's when it clicked in my head. The story and emotion that you sell is what gets people to buy in and believe in your product, not necessarily the idea. So the final recap, you don't need to have the best idea. You need belief. And belief starts with you. It doesn't start with anybody else. You have to believe it. How you show up, how you tell the story, how you pitch the mission is what's ultimately going to grow and scale your business. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, what you've experienced in life. If you go up with confidence, get people to feel an emotion, and they are clear of what you do, they will be more excited to purchase. So if this helps shift your thinking, hit the like button, drop a comment of your favorite insight, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button. As always, I'm not here to sell you some course. I'm not here to sell you some mastermind. I'm simply here to give you lessons that absolutely changed my life forever and have helped me build 7 and 8 figure businesses. So if this has helped, hit the subscribe button and we will see you in the next video.